We just read this passage of Matthew chapter 9 and 10 because it's the context, because especially chosen for this, St. John Vianney. And Jesus is sending the apostles to cure every disease and illness. And why he's sending them? Because when he sees the crowds, he saw them. His heart was moved with pity for them because they were troubled and abandoned like sheep without a shepherd. And then he says, "Go and ask for the master of the harvest to send out laborers." There's a connection, a very interesting connection here. The sending of God of laborers, of missionaries, every kind of missionary, every people that has the seal for the mission, and every priest also as well, is an expression, is an extension of the compassion of God the Father, of the pity, of His heart that is moved when God sees the affliction and the lostness, the senseless of the people. We see that in the Old Testament. We see, for example, the vocation of Moses, when God appears to Moses in the burning bush, and He says, "I have seen the affliction of my people. Go and talk with the Pharaoh and deliver them." Everything, when we experience this zeal, this desire, this longing for the mission, is because the passion of God, the compassion of God is touching us. We are like channels of mercy, of something that is much bigger than us. And that's what happens with St. John Vianney. And he is a very interesting story because it's at the end of the French Revolution and in a context that is very secularized, very rationalistic. People are secty, people are losing faith. He was sent to a parish with only 200 people. And he was saying, "I'm not going to make it." I mean, that kind of idea was surrounding. People were saying him, "You're not going to make it, no?" And he already had many troubles in his formation because of Napoleon. He was interrupted in his process of formation because he was drafted in the military and back and forth. So it took a lot for him to prepare. So the skepticism in the environment, everything. So there are very external and internal challenges and struggles for him. And one of the beautiful stories is when he's walking to the place, but he has been assigned by his own, traveling the countryside, and he meets a little shepherd boy, and he acknowledges, "Hey, little boy, I'm lost. I don't know where ours is." And he said, "Okay, I'm going to walk with you." So the boy walks him to ours, and then he says, when finally he points the place, he says, "Okay, you have walked with me to ours. Now I'm going to show you the way to heaven." So that's a beautiful story, and a beautiful statue showing this moment, this encounter where this little boy took him and then to ours, and then he's going to commit him and to take us to heaven. We can, in this day, in this Mass, in this beautiful moment that we have these 24 hours of prayer, ask him like a little boy, "Okay, I want to be that little boy. If you can guide me to heaven, if you can teach me the way to heaven, I can be that shepherd boy, if you help me." And if we take a look at the Office of Readings, the Office of Reading today, in the second reading, this saint is teaching us about prayer. He says, "My little children, the Christian's treasure is not on earth but in heaven. Our thoughts ought to be directed to where our treasure is. And that is the glorious duty of men, to pray and to love. If you pray and love, that is where a man's happiness lies. And prayer is nothing else but union with God. When one has a heart that is pure and united with God, he's given a kind of serenity and sweetness that makes him ecstatic, a light that surrounds him with marvelous brightness. In this intimate union, God and the soul are fused together like two bits of wax that no one can ever pull apart. This union of God with a tiny creature is a lovely thing. It is a happiness beyond understanding. We had become unworthy to pray, but God, in His goodness, allowed us to speak with Him. Our prayer is incense that gives Him the greatest pleasure. My little children, your hearts are small, but prayer stretches them and makes them capable of loving God. And through prayer we receive a foretaste of heaven. Something of paradise comes down upon us. prayer never leaves us without sweetness. It is honey that flows into the soul and makes all things sweet. Saint John Vianney, pray for us.